Created in 1963 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the X-Men are one of the most iconic and instantly recognizable superhero teams of all time. A group of misfits hated and feared by those they were trying to connect with. Just about anyone and everyone is able to relate to them. And here you will find just 10 things you may not know about the X-Men. Before we get started, we put new videos out every week about video games, movies, TV shows, superheroes, comic books, and wrestling. So hit that subscribe button and like the video for more great content. Joss Whedon's X-Men connection. Before helming the highest-grossing superhero movie of all time, The Avengers, Joss Whedon was best known for his TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly. However, he also has some very interesting ties to the X-Men. His astonishing X-Men run, a classic X-Men costume after they had been clad in leather to more closely resemble their big-screen counterparts. Bryan Singer banned the cast of X-Men from reading comic books. Comic book fans have always had a problem with how Bryan Singer handled certain aspects of the X-Men movies, blaming the director for the lack of faithfulness to the comic books, something which has become even more glaring when they're compared to Marvel's output. A possible explanation for this comes from Hugh Jackman, who revealed back in 2013 that Singer banned comic books from being on the set, wanting actors to only pay attention to the script. Channing Tatum nearly played Gambit in X-Men: The Last Stand. Back when pretty much everyone hated Channing Tatum or didn't even know who he was, the actor looked like he was set to take on the role of Gambit in 2006 X-Men: The Last Stand. However, the movie constantly changing hands led to the character being written out, and Tatum was too busy with G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra in 2009 to play the charming Cajun in the X-Men Origin Wolverine. His presence and love of the mutant thief paid off though, and his likes of 21 Jump Street and Foxcatcher mainly is why he will get a chance to play Gambit finally. Wolverine and Cyclops really hate each other. Wolverine and Cyclops' relationship has always been tense, especially as they both have strong feelings for Jean Grey. The two became friends over the years though, but as the long-standing tension came to a head in the comic book pages, disagreeing with Cyclops over his use of young X-Men on the field, the two came to blows in a brawl which saw them very nearly kill each other. When Cyclops later murdered Professor X though, under the influence of Phoenix Force, Wolverine held himself back from killing his old ally on a number of occasions, and the two now share a mutual hatred for each other, which only ended when Logan died. X-Men 1 is the best-selling comic book of all time. The 90s were a weird time for comic books, but the industry was still really booming. The X-Men in particular were really hot at the time, and even all these years later, Jim Lee's X-Men #1, published in 1991, remained the highest grossing selling comic book of all time. It even holds a Guinness World Record, for the chances of that being beaten seem highly unlikely. Wolverine was going to make a cameo in Spider-Man. Proving perhaps that Kevin Feige has always wanted to create a shared universe for Marvel superheroes, Hugh Jackman revealed in 2013 that the former X-Men producer pushed for Wolverine to make a cameo appearance in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. He was only going to walk through the shot or have some sort of very non-speaking role, but the actor says that they didn't come together because they couldn't find Wolverine's suit in time. X-Men vs. the Avengers. Like most superheroes, the X-Men and the Avengers have come to blows over the years. However, the rivalry between the two factions came to a head in a titled Avengers vs. X-Men event series. When the Earth's mightiest heroes attempted to take one of their own, Cyclops struck first blows against Captain America, and the war was on. Though Marvel clearly was hoping readers would side with the Avengers, the majority ended up rooting for the X-Men, and they emerged victorious, only after using Phoenix Force to make the world a better place. Michael Jackson wanted a role in the X-Men. In the 90s, Marvel went through some financial issues, even declaring bankruptcy at one point, and Michael Jackson emerged as a potential buyer. Stan Lee revealed that the troubled singer wanted to play Spider-Man in a movie, but Jackson would later lobby for a role in Bryan Singer's X-Men as Professor X. The producers, though, revealed this interesting fact in 2011 and mentioned that basketball player Shaquille O'Neal had also pushed hard to be included in this adaptation. Magneto and Professor were supposed to be brothers. Professor X and Magneto's comic book relationship is a lot different to the bromance Matthew Vaughn introduced in X-Men First Class. They've been allies, fought side by side, but it's ultimately nowhere near as interesting as that movie portrayed to be. Had things been panned out a little bit differently, they would have been brothers. Stan Lee revealed in 2008 that they never really viewed Magneto as a villain and wanted to make him and Xavier part of the same family. They were going to be called the Merry Mutants. When he set about creating the X-Men alongside Jack Kirby, Stan Lee's plan was for their series to be called the Merry Mutants. Marvel's publisher wasn't keen on the idea, though, and asked him to rethink the title because he didn't think people would understand what the word mutant meant. Even just the mutants was turned down, and that eventually led to the heroes being called the X-Men.